And you know what, Ian? I looked her dead in the eyes and I told her that if she wanted $1 of alimony out of me, she would have to pry it from my cold, dead, lifeless hands. Oh shit, we're hi everyone, and welcome to Sonic Comic Chaos. I am your host, Silver1. Joining me as always my co-host Ian Waffles. Ian, say hi.
Hey, so you made sure to like get my money back too, right?
We'll talk about this after.
All right. Anyway, how's it going?
Oh, I mean, except for dealing with my fucking ex-wife, it's all right. Today we are going to be talking about the Sonic Universe arc, Eggman's Dozen, which encompasses Sonic Universe issues 83 through 86. However, before we jump into that arc, we must first return to our universe famous segment. Ian and Ace, read your comments. So, starting off, we have a comment I wanted to address from our Prime video, actually. Usually I try to keep these to the ones here, but we just got a couple from a fellow by the name of Ash Blossom and Joyous Sprung that I wanted to address. The first of which was simply them saying, I just found this channel and I like it. Incredibly underrated. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Dad.
What?
No. No explanation. Keep talking.
But the other comment they left, it resonated with me because they were talking about the idea I had about like just have it be all in New York City. Don't do the multiverse stuff. Just have it be this one place. They said, your idea sounds similar to that Spider-Man cartoon where he travels on a spaceship to a new planet full of furries with Carnage and Venom. Then he just stays there to have adventures.
Exactly.
Ian, do you remember that show?
No.
Oh my god. Ian, have you not seen Spider-Man Unlimited?
I've seen Spectacular Spider-Man.
Is that the only Spider-Man cartoon you've seen?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, it's the best one, but I'm gonna send you the opening. It's only 45 seconds. I need to hear your reaction to this.
Alrighty.
Because
starting out strong with our Sonic podcast.
Yeah, well, I'll edit this down a little bit, but I just because because like the first 12 seconds are like, oh, this is pretty bog standard Spider-Man stuff. Oh, he's getting bit by a spider and Uncle Ben's getting capped, and then it just goes off the fucking rails.
Alrighty. All right, there's a spider. All right, nuclear warfare. Run down this. Oh, so this is an old show.
Oh yeah, 90s.
He's a robot. Oh my gosh, he's got a web cape.
Yeah.
Now he's going into Star Trek. There's a flying horse. There's a tiger. He's a tiger man. He's a chip man. Who are you people? That's a fish girl. That guy got, oh no, there's a gargoyle. No, that's green goblin. Oh my gosh, black and white. That looks pretty cool. Or it's red and black. Okay. He kicked me. Spider-Man Unlimited. Yeah, that is a thing you showed me. Looks pretty cool.
That was my shit growing up.
How many episodes is it?
12. It got canceled on a cliffhanger.
Okay. So that must be why, like, when I see clips from it, it's always like the same 10 clips.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, most people don't like it, but I think that show is the reason why I'm so accepting of like pretty much any Spider-Man stuff. When people are like, oh, MCU Spider-Man has an Iron Man suit, and I'm like, did he go to space and fight furries? No. Okay.
Is this the Spider-Man that goes shocker?
That's a complicated question, but the short version of that is kind of. But no. Okay. But thank you for your comment. It brought back some memories for me, needless to say. But yeah, I mean, I guess as a person who's seen the show and who can relate my idea to that a little bit, I can see where you would draw comparisons there. Oh shit. I don't mean to show favoritism towards this commenter, but I didn't realize that these comments were the same. So I'll make sure I include more people's. But this next one was another interesting point of discussion. I like how whenever Ian gets criticized, the writer, not you, Ian, the response is usually, well, don't be so hard on him. He's a nice guy and is better than Ken. Honestly, I like the Sonic comics better with Penders. They had a similar vibe to Stardust the Super Wizard. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. With Ian, the comics just became pretty generic. And I think this is interesting for a couple of reasons. First of all, like most people seem to prefer the Flynn run. But I guess I never considered that. Yeah, there is a certain wacky charm that was lost when there was the move over from Penders to Flynn, or that era to Flynn. Ian, thoughts?
Some of Pender's stuff I think is fun. The problem with Pender's writing is usually that when he had full stories to work with, he uses his awful way of speaking for all of them. So every character has like 50 flowery ways to say one thing. There's an infamous page in issue 30 of Knuckles where an ape is climbing a rock side, and it describes it in the most annoying, stupid way possible. But once Ken was captured and put into the B stories, his stuff was fun because he had to shorten it to all of his insane ideas, and he'd had none of the wiggle room to like indulge in them, which I think is where Ken is at his best, when he has a limited amount of time and then he just kind of goes crazy with all of his ideas and his way of speaking and stuff. That's where I think he's at his best. So I do agree that Ken can write some pretty entertaining stuff. I genuinely like 25 years later. But, so I could totally, I know there are some people who really like his stuff. But yeah.
As for the first part about Ian Flynn getting criticized, I think that brings up an interesting just kind of topic in terms of like the way the world is now. Because nowadays, like it is weird, right? Because nowadays, and I think it's there that it's for the most part a good thing. You get more glimpses at creatives as people. Yeah. Like, I follow Ian Flynn on Twitter. I get to see him talking about like fucking Pop-Tarts or whatever. Like, he's a dude, and so if I were to tweet out like fucking IDW Sonic is garbage, like there's a very real chance that he sees that, and so then like I remember even in our Silver Age episode, I remember being like, man, I really hope Evan Stanley does not see this, because like I like Evan's work, and I think she's fun. I think she and again, she's just a person who's involved in the community and could see this, and I would feel bad if she
by
saw shit in
contrast, Ken Penders is an ass on Twitter and does that constantly. So there's a reason that people don't like him. Although I would also say that there's many of the reasons people don't like him are stupid, like him winning the lawsuit.
yes. But
so, and even him, like every time I've interacted with him, he's been nothing but cordial. So I think he just is a dick online because people are a dick to him. So at least as far as I could tell. But like every time I've like messaged him and been like, hey, I have some questions about the comic, he's always like very cordial and very nice. Same with Flynn. So I mean, he literally did an interview with my friend just because I asked him. He's like, oh yeah, sure, why not? He didn't charge for any of it or whatever. So yeah.
Well, and I think that's an interesting thing because the questioner brings up like, and this is something that happens where you'll criticize a person based on their work, and you'll get back like, oh, well, they're a nice guy. Like, for example, like with Roger Craig Smith, and I liked his performance in Frontiers. After that, I'm fine with him staying as Sonic. I know some people disagree, but before that, you'd criticize him and be like, hey, he's a really cool guy and he donates to charity and he's really good with the community. And it's like, yeah, I don't deny any of that, but that shouldn't mean I can't criticize his performance. And so I think it's just that, I think it's interesting. I think we could talk a lot longer on it and we won't, but I think it's just interesting, like striking that balance of like being cordial, making sure you're criticizing the art and not necessarily the artist, but not being critical and not, providing feedback because you're worried about, hurting people's feelings. That being said, you shouldn't try to hurt people's feelings. You just shouldn't, you should give criticism in a cordial way is, I guess, the point I'm trying to make there.
Yep.
So moving on from that, we have Dragonborn 795, who wanted to rebut the point I made in the Silver Age episode about Belle dying. If you might recall, Ian, I said that Belle could die because she's a robot, and so the censorship around that wouldn't be as harsh. And yeah, so Dragonborn 795 writes, Starlin died and he wasn't a robot. Also, the Transformers 1980s movie got complaints from parents about some of the gruesome deaths a few of the Autobots went through. So first point, Starlin's a bad guy. There's a little more wiggle room when it comes to killing bad guys.
He also got killed in like the most like typical way you kill bad guys, which is either falling into a hole or having something fall on you.
As for the Transformers thing, look, okay, here's the thing. I feel like I'm going to be the guy, I'm going to be like 3 years from now going like, I'm telling you guys, they're going to kill Belle, any issue now. So I'm not saying they're going to kill Belle. So I'm just saying it could happen. It could happen. I will say real quick, a lot of people agreed with us on the Sonic Prime discussion.
Yeah, I'm very happy.
Not expecting. I'm trying to find just see if there was any particular
Hey,
comments.
your viewers have good taste.
Yeah. I mean,
they literally never get on to me. So
I know, unfortunately. Yeah, a lot of it was now a lot of these are like similar to criticisms we had about like, yeah, it's just okay, or this is that. All right, well, we'll do more comments next time. I know there are more, but I'm disorganized right now, so I do not have them ready, and we're 12 minutes into the recording. So,
alrighty,
let's get into Sonic Universe number 83, Eggman's Dozen, Part 1. So,
yes.
this comic begins with Dr. Eggman and Metal Sonic, and seemingly Metal Sonic can't talk. So,
yeah, he doesn't talk in Reboot much.
He's talked in every Reboot story he's been in until this point.
Has he?
Yes.
Oh, well, I guess that shows how boring he is.
Yeah, so I guess this is when Sega finally brought down the hammer on him being able to talk.
Yeah.
So yeah, Eggman's like, my Eggman land, it's fucked up. What's wrong? And he goes and it's covered in crystal, and he realizes that there is no one else to blame other than Walter.
Right, my favorite Sonic character.
His name is Walter.
I actually don't know. So like with like the King Max, they changed his name from Max to Nigel because Nigel is actually his name in the show, I believe. Or no, Nigel is like the name of like it's like the first name of the voice actor who played him in like the show or something like that.
Ian, you're butchering the fact I told you mere episodes ago.
Oh, okay. Well, you fix it. Help.
What was his name? Tim Curry played Nigel Thornberry as well as the King on Sat AM, and so when they had to change his name from Max to something else, they just made it Nigel.
Okay, but then therefore, I don't know where Walter comes from.
I feel like we looked it up on the wiki, and it was just like, I guess he's Walter.
He is Walter now, and which is
maybe
very
there's something.
It's probably just because her name's Wendy, the witch carter or whatever. Although I don't even know if that was originally her name.
Well, maybe it's something like buried in the in like the manual for Tails Adventure. Maybe that's It was like Wendy's secret brother Walter. Just the fact that his name is fucking Walter Nogus is amazing.
How the mighty have fallen.
And we'll see how far he's fallen in this. Well, first of all, he wears a little witch's hat, which is fun. But so Eggman sees it, and he's like, ah, shit, my ship been fucked up. And he has a flashback to. Ian, didn't you tell me that this was meant to be taking place during like the Sonic 2 for the Game Gear?
Yeah, this is like a framing device of that, basically.
Yeah, Eggman is so we get a flashback to when Eggman met the Noguses, and they kidnap him, they turn him to Crystal, and then we cut back to the present, and Eggman's line, he says he was at least on a ... working terms with Wendy. So
Yeah.
I wrote, did Eggman bang Nogus' sister? Because like I like if you read the comic, it's not that out of the realm of possibility.
Yes.
But anyway, so he goes and he's like, whoa, what's going on here? This is crazy. And he meets the Witch Carters, who are apparently characters from Tails Adventure, because they act like they're characters that people would know. So I assume they're from something.
Yeah, the Witch Carters are from the Tails Adventure. So
I see.
Or no, sorry, Tails Sky Patrol.
Tails Sky Patrol. Okay.
Yeah, which is the Tails 30th anniversary from IDW has them in there too, but they are much cuter and not given like woman.
You mean the rabbit
and punky men bods?
The rabbit doesn't look this voluptuous.
No, she's just a cute tiny little rabbit, and the rest of them are like tiny little chibi characters.
Because my next note was, I don't like how this rabbit is looking at Eggman.
I don't like how that rabbit looks through most of the comic, which is brainwashed stoned. So
yeah, and she's also doing this like fucking paint me like one of your French girls looking ass pose. Like I don't like it. And then he meets the Naugus siblings, and he's like, man, this fucking sucks. And Metal Sonic gets captured, and everything is not great. And so he runs away, and he calls all of his little OC egg bosses, and he's like, hey, we're gonna fuck some shit up. So everyone get over here. And then the off panels are fun. It has Eggman breaking some carnival rides because they're not carnival rides, carnival games because they're rigged, which is fairly cathartic because they are rigged and they suck.
Indeed.
And then the other off panel, for some reason we get 2 off panels. I don't know why, but it's fun. As a Scratch and Grounder trying to sneak in to hang out with the other villains, which I thought was cool. All right, and then we move on to Sonic Universe number 84, Eggman's Dozen, part 2 of 4. We open up on another flashback. They got Naugus as Sonic in some crystal, and he's got Eggman in some crystal, and they're like, damn, they do be in some crystal though.
Yeah.
And then Eggman, we find out he was asleep. He wakes up, he goes to confront his egg bosses, and there are a lot of them. Arguably too many. And I get what, because Eggman's dozen, because there's 11 of them, there's going to be 12 by the end of it. I get it. It's a lot to keep track of. Man, Bentley is going fucking crazy over there.
Oh, I'm sorry if you can hear him. My bad.
No, it's fine. It's just like, is he okay?
He's just mad because people are outside the house trying to get inside the house, and in that time span, he is very upset. He just wants to know who you are so he can yell at you.
I relate to that. But yeah, so we see these egg bosses. We haven't met all of these guys, right? Some of these are new.
I think some of them are new. And to clarify, there are some who are new, as in they are new for reboot, because some of these are carryovers from preboot, and then some of them are new, and some of them are new, as in like we are only seeing them in reboot for the first time. But I think it's only like 2 of them.
Yeah, well, the orca was like an orca in the original.
Yes,
from what I understand.
He was that. It took me. I actually didn't. For the longest time, I actually didn't realize that they were the same person. So
yeah. I mean, I didn't. I think I saw that on like a tweet or something. I was like, "Did you know?" It was like one of those things where it's like, "Did you know Mutsky was a dog in preboot, and now he's a person dog?" It's like similar to that.
It's like, yeah, what do you think I am? Stupid? I understand Sonic. Like, did you know this guy was the same? Like, I'm fucking dumb.
Which, okay, wait. We need to analyze the horrifying implications of that. Does that mean that there are some like people who are turned into animals from that?
No.
So I mean, there are some like person dogs that were turned into dogs.
I don't think those exist anymore.
Well, there have to be like just some like animals. What do they eat?
I don't think so.
What do you mean you don't think so? They still
eat
meat.
We don't see any.
Sonic eats chili dogs.
We eat chow.
What?
We eat chow. Get it? Like,
do chow have meat?
Probably. You could check if you ate them.
Aren't they made of like water or whatever?
Even better. Good nutrients.
Anyway, so he has this meeting, and it's a lot of like, hey, okay. We get the scene that I think everyone's seen where he wheels out one of his subordinates. He's like, I locked up the robotics in him, and if you don't listen to me, you're all gonna end up like him.
Yes. So which do you prefer? Do you prefer bombs in your head or being locked in like a black case forever?
Bombs in your head's cleaner.
No, not. Which do you think is cooler? Like,
no, I meant that. I meant like I think it works in terms of like it seems a little try-hardy for me. Like it seems like, and I get it because like Eggman is like super evil and he rebels,
like the being pain in a box or whatever thing, like being locked up.
Yeah,
whereas like a bomb is just more direct. Like it's more clear, like what's at stake here. Although I do like the scene, I still think it's pretty cool, and I like the idea. I like for like a one in a lifetime chance, they actually make Orbot and Cubot look scary whenever they're like rolling him out of the room, and like because it's in the dark, only their eyes are glowing. And like that's kind of a cool image.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fun. I think I would have a bigger impact if I, like I said, I've seen it before. Pretty much anytime anyone does like a Archie Eggman's awesome compilation, this is one of the things, even though like pretty much all of his scenes in preboot are still better. Just saying. But regardless. But yeah, so he's like, well, that's gonna happen to you if any of y'all motherfuckers step out of line, except they step out of line and it doesn't. But whatever. Also, what's interesting is that like okay. So like in Suicide Squad, and I haven't read a lot of Suicide Squad or any for that matter, but from what I understand, they have a thing where it's like if the person leading them who isn't a criminal dies, they all get their heads blown up. But in this, seemingly, if Eggman dies, they're all just cool. And so you're telling me none of them have just been like, oh, just fucking kill him.
Well,
Later-
maybe that would have been explained later.
I guess because well, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. We can talk about that when we get to that scene. But yeah, so he's like, we're gonna break in. It's gonna be cool. And he just the rest of the issue is basically just him going like, all right, you go here, you go here, you go here. All right, let's go. And he rides his little drill car from Sonic 2, which is fun. And then the rest of it is just like, oh no, everything's going wrong. Like, I really like the interaction between Rotor's dad and the Orca dude. How he just so badly wants to get Rotor's dad to fight him, but he doesn't want to be the one
being an asshole. Just be like, hey, remember when I killed a bunch of guys? And he's like, I killed a bunch of guys. He's like, yeah, because you wanted to fight me. He's like,
but like, yeah, I like how he's like, oh well, you hit me. That means I have to put you down for the for the good of the Empire. So I think that's fun. And then everything's going to shit. And then Eggman falls in a hole. And oh no, is he gonna die?
Yeah. Maybe. So I really quickly I want to clarify. So like we've like blitzed through like 2 issues, and that's mostly because all of it is just like explaining things. Yes. Like the first issue, like almost all of Eggman's dialogue, and this happens in the second one too, where he's like, they're like, oh no, they're going after Tails, and then Eggman's like, well, if they're going after Tails, then they will learn the hard way what it is like to go up against Tails in the same way that I learned the hard way. Asterisk, see Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Game Boy, or for the Sega Genesis. And then there's like a line later where he's just like, oh man, I remember fighting these guys whenever we did this thing that one time, but that allowed for this thing to happen in that location. And I'm like, Eggman, I need you to calm down. Here's the thing. This is normal with like all of Archie Sonic, like even Preboot does this, but it just felt like, whereas before and they do this obviously because it's monthly. So like they want to keep the dumb, stupid children up who don't read those last time parts. So they have certain characters say these types of things. But for this story, it feels like the first 2 issues are all that. And I get it. You got to introduce all these different characters. And I do think Eggman has a lot of personality regardless. But it is something that I think weakened the arc for me overall, even though I did generally enjoy it, was that all that really happened is he just tells them all to go to a certain place. All that happens in the first issue is he just fights the Goblin twins. But almost all of his dialogue is like, hey, it's you, Wally. Remember when I did XYZ? Ah, Wendy, we sure had a time with XYZ and Z and D and 45. I'm like, all right, Eggman, we need to calm down.
Well, they had a time with D already, if you know what I mean.
All right, keep going. Do the next part. I was on a roll.
Well, no, I'm not done. We need to talk about the off panel because I'm confused about why. Okay, so it's clearly a Batman reference, but Sonic has the Screama, which would make him like Nightwing, but he's meant to look like Batman. So I don't get it. That's it. I like Nightwing. He's
okay.
Cool.
What happens next?
All right. Sonic Universe number 85, Eggman's Dozen, 3 of 4. So, Eggman's falling, and he's gonna die. But then he gets caught by what's his fuck, Axel, with a chain, and Eggman's like, "Fuck, you saved me? Why? I threatened to lock your shit up." And he's like, "Well,
bro, I also like murdering. We cool." And he's like, "You right though." And then,
well, it's a bit more complicated than that.
All right, fine.
He's like, even if I don't like you, we're a part of a crew. Crew looks after one another. You take care of the crew takes care of you. This is how it goes. And so Eggman's like, all right. But I just think it's so funny because he's like, wait, you saved me? It's like, what? Wait, why are you having him like come with you if you think he would just let you die? Like that's. I guess he just didn't expect to get like the lamest death possible, which is he goes around a corner and some guy goes, yo, and then smashes the ground and he falls into a hole and dies. Although, as we've already established, that's how most villains die.
Yeah, but it's just he didn't think it was gonna happen on a Tuesday. He's not even fighting the main character.
I mean, you're not wrong. It's like, man, I couldn't even get shot by a laser that was specifically programmed to only destroy my DNA. It's bullshit. Or I couldn't.
I do like his line about like he's like, "Ooh, get into Wi-Fi. You know, cordless is the way to go." Well, screw you, Snively. Now because I have my cords and I'm an old man, it's working out for us, idiot. And I'm like, all right, it's kind of fun.
Which I like the idea of like them trying. How old is Snively even supposed to be? Actually, now that I think of it,
like a man,
he's a man. He's definitely a man.
He's not like a young man either. I think he's like in his 30s. So,
well, it's just weird because like in Preboot, obviously he's Robotnik's nephew, but I guess he could still be roughly like only a little bit younger than him based on how nephews work.
Yeah,
actually, real quick,
they're pals or were pals.
They're he's his like intern or whatever. And Snively has a beard. But yeah, so everyone's fighting. I will say, I like the designs of pretty much all of the egg bosses. I think they look cool.
Yeah, I like all of them too. Like I'm actually I actually enjoy a lot of their personalities, and I like the different ways they all bounce off each other. It's unfortunate this is the end for them, but you know,
we already talked about the vulture lady last episode, but I really like her design. I think the squid octopus lady, I think she looks fun. And yeah, but so they're all doing some fights, and I mean, and like it's fun. It's just, you know, there's not much to talk about. The old bird man starts throwing some bombs. Wait a minute, is he meant to be related to Bean?
Who?
The old bird guy, Battle Lord Aerial. Boss.
in Preboot, it is hinted at that Bean, because he can summon bombs, that he is like, and he is like from the Armada. He says that apparently it is rumored that he is actually a genetic experiment mutate, and he was made for the Battlebird Armada to like be a weapon of mass destruction, but he just went crazy and escaped. So, you know, in Preboot you'd mostly be right. But in Reboot, because it's, you know, game logic, none of these characters are related. Fuck you.
I see. Well,
no characters are allowed to be connected in such a way.
Yeah. You mean like Chuck, uncle to all, in quotes? I fucking hate that so much.
It's such an amazing, like, just little joke there of just like, yeah, I'm sorry. This is all we got. I'm sorry, guys.
No, I just... ignore that he looks exactly like Sonic. Please, we swear it's a coincidence.
All hedgehogs look the same.
Wow, Ian. He said it. Hashtag cancel waffles 2023.
You started with a joke about mugging a woman for money.
No. I started with talking about how my ex-wife was trying to get alimony checks from me.
Oh yeah, that's the good guy way of putting it.
I said mugging a woman for money. No, I'm talking about.
I'm going down. I'm taking you with me.
One of them is a completely legal process. Well, subverting getting alimony is not a legal process, but alimony checks on their own is a legal process. Mugging a woman will only ever be mugging a woman.
You mugged your soul when you cheated on her.
I did no such thing. Thank you very much.
It was a lie. It was the slander in the papers.
She couldn't keep up with my cool lifestyle. She left me.
Cool guy lifestyle of refusing to read IDW, Sonic. He's a Bell fan. We just couldn't be. We would wake up in the middle of the night and she'd be like, man, I had a great dream. I'd be like, oh yeah? Did Bell die in it? And she just got real mad for some reason.
Were you spying on us? How did you know that?
I've been dead in a ghost like multiple times, dude. I have many things to do. Have you forgotten the lore of our own channel?
What a fucking shit show.
This is what the people come to see.
Do they? Oh, Jesus. Fuck. What were we saying? Why does this girl look like Nicole? Is that a thing?
Oh, the Lynx lady. I mean,
Conquering
she's a Lynx.
Storm. Why does she look like Nicole?
Because she's a Lynx. And all lynxes look
yeah.
the same. But yeah, no, it's just because she's a lynx, so she has a similar aesthetic with the like obviously the ears and stuff.
They couldn't have made her a different color. The lynx that Nicole was actually supposed to look like was a different color. remember a couple arcs ago when they were like, this girl looks exactly like Nicole, and she was like gray and had a different hairstyle.
Yeah, that is true.
Ugh. Whatever. Anyway,
I hate you. He sighs under his breath.
They're all fighting. It's all going to shit. And both this show and the arc. And the Orca dude tries to use his mind control on Rotor's dad. I know Rotor's dad is a name, but I don't remember it, so I'm gonna call him Rotor's dad. And then Rotor's dad reveals he has the power to breathe ice. Was this meant to be coming out of his tusks? Because his tusks are like robotic. So is that where this was meant to be coming from?
Warrior soul.
So can Rotor do this?
No, that's why he's a nerd.
I was to say, is Rotor holding out on the Freedom Fighters that he has awesome ice powers?
It's embarrassing. It only happens when he burps. Got the crappy version of his dad's quirk.
He's like one of Endeavor's bastard children that he doesn't acknowledge.
Rotor
I don't remember any of their names.
His quirk? Ice barfs. He can't barf unless he ices, you know what I'm saying? God. Like, yeah, that's his power.
What?
I don't know. I just like said the word wrong and I just had to keep going with it. There was no holding back.
Can't barf unless he ices. I will say that was not a bad present Mike impression. Anyway, God, fuck, we are. This is gone off the rails.
I forget.
Who cares? But Eggman calls and he's like, "All y'all better stop fucking fighting, or so help me." I like the threat he gives to the two icy boys, where he's like, "I will lock you guys and every one of your people up in one room and force you to stare at each other until the end of time."
Yeah, and well, it's funny too because he starts off being like using what the Buffalo guy said, being like, you know, the team looks after the team or whatever in the pack, and then at the very end he's like, "But really, if you don't work together, I'll fucking murder all of you. Now get to work." But yeah, then what happens is like obviously to contrast the last issue where all the teams are like fighting. In this issue now they're like working together really well.
Yeah, and we get a moment. Yeah, we get a couple ones I like. One of which is where is this Clove?
Yes.
Is like, "Hey, little chinchilla girl, I like Eggman just as much as you, but I'm just shy about expressing it. And obviously he likes you the most, so we shouldn't fight." And she's like, "Oh, okay. It's fun."
Yeah, I think this and the next issue I think are the best ones because I think this one's where like all the exposition's been set up. So now we actually get to like kind of go full throttle with the with like the character personalities, because now that they've been presented with a problem where like they're all fighting, now we actually get to see like which one of the characters is going to like figure out a way to resolve it, or will both of them. So like the Occult and the Tundra, like they both care about their people, so like they're not willing to let them die for the sake of their rivalry, you know. Clove, like you said, kind of like plays a little mind game with the chinchilla girl. And then like, you know, like basically just like other characters do similarly, where like they end up finding different ways to be helpful. We get a really amazing moment that has haunted me forever, which is the scene with the yellow guy with like the robot jaw. And he's like, "Oh, yeah. I get to test out my modifications." And he blows up like 50 badniks. And then he's like, like he evaporates them basically. And it looks sick. And then the girl, like the I don't know a vulture girl. She's like, "But aren't there like little animals trapped inside them?" He's like, "Oh, they've been liberated." So
yeah, that was confusing.
Murdered the little animals.
Was that the implication?
Yes.
Okay, well, He said the beauty of those robots is that the little animals will live forever. That's all that matters. Did he mean like in heaven?
Yes.
Oh. Oh.
Until we find out what his power is, which we never did, that seems to be the implication, is that he just evaporated them.
Yeah, well, he says later on, like, I can't use that power, like, when I'm in close proximity with, our allies. So, yeah, I guess he just...
Yeah, no, and I love that. Like, this guy, okay, so I'll talk about this guy since now we're focusing on him. So this guy might be my favorite, and I'm so mad we never got to do anything with him, because he's interesting, and I think to me, he has, like, a better reason. Like, he has not a better reason. He has a more engaging reason to want to work for Eggman than fucking Starline, because his whole thing is that, like, you very clearly understand that he's, like, a sociopath. Like, he acts very suave or whatever. And while everyone else is, like, terrified of, like, Eggman, he's, like, signed up willingly, and also, like, he has the most obvious, like, body augmentation. And, like, he talks about, like, oh, like, Eggman's trying to save the world. And it's like, save it. I thought it was obviously he's trying to conquer it. And then he's just like, well, sometimes we need to be saved from ourselves for progress to truly happen. And the doctor is radical and violent enough to do it. So, like, you get this idea of, like, this weird pseudo-intellectual psychopath. And I just find that way more... And also, he wants something out of this. Whereas, like, Starline is just like, I am your biggest fan. And it's like, why? Because I love evil stuff. It's like, okay. Yeah. But, like, he just kind of acts like just like a fanboy. And I'm like, all right, this doesn't... I'm not getting any implications of anything that would make you this way. And Starline doesn't come off as like a mentally like unstable, like until like later, like once he's been rejected by Eggman. But even then, he's still mad that he was rejected in the first place. But this isn't tied to this idea of like this feeling of inferiority came before this. Like there's no implication of that. It just all seems to be resolved around Eggman. Whereas this guy, he's just like some tertiary D tier side character. And yet I instantly had an intrigue and interest in him. And he only has like 2 scenes. So I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I really liked him. So, and also he just has a really sick power and like vibe about him. Like he's really scary.
Yeah. I liked all these guys. Again, it is unfortunate that like we're T-minus like what 2 arcs away from this all being over.
Yes.
So that's no bueno. But you know what they say. Some quote about nothing lasting forever or something.
It's sad, but every world has its end. That's why we got to live it to the fullest. At least that's what I think anyway. Live life I
I will say that was not a bad Jason Griffith impression.
Wow.
Fucking God, Ian.
Tomatoes carrying a car.
These you motherfucker. I just
damn.
Anyway.
Come on, guys. This is like taking candy from a baby, which is fine by me.
I think one of our favorite I think one of my favorite moments of the entire show is when I did that line when I was talking about Shadow beating up the little wisp babies that Eclipse had, and I said this is like taking care of a baby, which is fine by me, and you go, this is like killing a baby, which is fine by me.
I mean, IDW's Shadow would say that. So.
You know what? I wish, man. Anyway, also apparently they're trolls, not the Nauguses, so that's something.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess they look like trolls. But and I'm not talking about internet trolls, am I right?
A grumpy old troll who lives under the bridge. Swiper, no swiping. All right, keep going.
What?
It's from Dora the Explorer.
Dora the Explorer?
I mean, his name's Wally. What do you expect?
Oh, anyway,
Dora before.
What?
He's probably fought Dora before.
Sure. Okay. So they're at the top of this tower, and he's like, so this is what confused me. So seemingly they still have the rights to use Ixis,
Yeah.
But they changed his name so it wasn't Ixis Nagus anymore. And
Yeah,
I guess
no,
from
it is strange because his name because Ixis, the reason that's not it's not even from Archie. It's from like the Sonic Satium Bible. So that's why that's why they can use it because it's just from Satium.
so is it just a change for the sake of change? Why is his name Walter?
I mean, I think it really is just for alliteration purposes of like Wendy and Walter.
Sure, okay. But he's like, Ixis, give me my powers back. And Wendy is like, there's no fucking Ixis. What are you talking about? This is Dark Gaia. And he's like, fine, Dark Gaia, give me my power back. Blech. And it doesn't work. And he's like, this sucks. And then Eggman rolls up with the egg bosses in a really cool panel. I really like this panel of him like standing up in the egg car with like one leg up on the windshield with all the egg bosses around him. That's pretty sick.
I agree.
And then he's like, I got you, motherfuckers. And they're like, oh, but you see, it is actually us who have you. And they reveal, and they re-mind control the, I forgot to mention that, the three, what the fuck are they called? Witch Carters?
The Witch Carters.
They get unmind controlled by, Snake Boy. And so they get re-mind controlled when Eggman rolls them up. And then we also see Crystal Sonic. Dun, dun, dun.
He looks pretty cool. Oh no, he fell in the hole. He's
I was trying to see how long I can hold it.
You got a villain death like Starline. Killed off before his potential could thrive. Oh well.
What potential? Anyway, so then we get this off panel where apparently, so Metal can apparently talk in the fucking off panel, but not in the main book.
Indeed, it's funny.
I guess. I don't know. Well, I guess we could use fucking Mama Robotnik in the off panels. Darth Vader's. Who gives a shit? But anyway, we move on to Eggman's Dozen, Part 4, Sonic Universe, number 86. So, Crystal Sonic rolls up. He's like, hey, Pops, I'm gonna murder you. But he doesn't say that because he can't talk. So everyone's fighting. It's a big old brawl. Ian, do you have any standout moments for you from this whole ordeal?
From just the fight?
Yeah, because it's just a lot of just things smashing into each other.
I mean, the best part's obviously like Eggman's, like his new suit.
Yes.
And him fighting like Walter and them. I think it's really I like how stupid it looks.
I
go ahead.
I like how stupid it looks. I also like the joke they make during the off panel about it, but we'll get to that in a sec. I
think the whole fight looks really cool. This is Adam Bryce Thomas. He does a really good job, especially anytime like a character's moving. He has all these like really hyper detailed. Instead of just drawing the character normally, like all of their lines are like sketchy. And it creates this really frantic feeling. And then I love the line of like, this has been fun, but everything has to come to its end. Speaking of ends, here's yours. Yeah. And then he like shoots Walter, but then, Crystal Sonic gets in the way, which also gets a Metal Sonic back. But it's just a cool line. Like Eggman's just having a blast, and I really enjoy him here. Like I think throughout the whole arc, he's pretty fun. Even when he's giving exposition, he has personality to him, which I enjoy.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is that like he just wins. Like and obviously, this arc centered on Eggman. He was going to win. He has to take back Eggman Land for the final arc of the main book. But like they say, oh, this thing only has enough charge for 5 minutes, and so you assume maybe this is my Ben 10 PTSD that like it's gonna time out like at the worst time, and he's gonna have to like figure out some other way out of it. But he just uses it and wins.
I mean, yeah, no, I get what you mean. So you're saying like that seemed like it. Well, when did they set it up? Did he say it at the start or the end that it lasts 5 minutes?
I think in like issue 2 when they're rolling out, they're like, "Do you have my secret weapon?" And he's like, "Yeah, boss, but you can only use it once, and it'll only last 5 minutes." And he's like, "That's plenty of time."
Oh yeah, so no, I think you were right to suspect that. That's kind of just like basic setup.
Oh yeah,
but I actually like when those things get subverted in stories where it's just like a character will be like, "I'm gonna beat the crap out of them and win," and then like they just do. It's like, oh man, I guess they're just that cool.
Oh yeah, I mean it's nice to get to see Eggman be competent and win. I like the line he has towards the end where he's like, "Chalk, another win up for Eggman," and Orbot's like, "Yeah, I'll put that with all the other wins."
Oh, by the way, this is a good joke with Cubot I enjoy is that in issue 2, he is sleeping or whatever, like Eggman is sleeping, and then like Orbot's like, hey boss, wake up, it's time. And then if you look over to the left, you can see Cubot, and he has a gong, and he's about to hit it.
Wait, what?
Try to wake him up.
Okay, wait. I need to see this. Wait.
It's the first page of issue 2.
He has a gong.
Yeah. So
That's great.
I don't know if I've said this anywhere else while we've talked, but like, regardless of what you think about them in the games, Orbot and Cubot are always really, really funny in the comics, and I do genuinely like them, and I'm glad they exist. Because in the comics, they're always super funny. Like I remember in the train arc, they're like cleaning up after Eggman or whatever, and or they're like cleaning up like Dark Gaia goop, and Cubot is like cleaning up it, and then in the background there's just a story playing out in while the main thing is happening, where the broom becomes sentient and starts trying to kill Cubot.
Yeah, I remember that. That was fun. Yeah, no, I think
yeah, go. No, you can go ahead. You can add.
Well, no, I think just the difference is that like in the games, they were always like, the best way I've ever heard it said, I can't remember where I heard this, and it wasn't about Sonic, but it's not the kind of humor kids find funny, it's the kind of humor adults think kids find funny.
Yeah, I could get that.
Whereas in this, they're just, genuine, and it's a lot like subtler. Like, I didn't even see the gong, but the gong is like a fun visual gag. Like,
yeah,
it's
or like in Preboot when they're first introduced, they say in colors like, oh, his voice chip got messed up or whatever, Cubot. But in Preboot, we actually see this where like the room gets shut down, and so Eggman's like, he has emergency bots, and so he like hits the wall really fast, and then Cubot and Orbot pop out of it, and they go to the table, and Orbot lands on the table, but Cubot bounces off the ledge and hits the floor, and he's like, oh, gnarly, my mouth is all messed up. So like they actually show in the story how his voice box gets destroyed. And then there's a great scene later when he calls all the egg bosses, and throughout the whole time, Eggman is like yelling at them and talking to them and like threatening them. And then Orbot and Cubot are passing out tea and crumpets to everyone. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, we were just being good hosts. And he's like, it's fine, whatever. I don't care.
Wait, is that an issue in part 2 as well?
No, that's in Preboot whenever he calls everyone together. Because this is the same type of arc as the one in Preboot where we're introducing all in that one, by the way, in that story, he doesn't just like call them to come meet with him and then he like has to wait for them to get there. Since he has like bombs and like implants in all of them, he actually has a teleporting device, and if he ever wants any of them with him, he just clicks a button and they all get teleported over to him. And the setup is really great because the idea is that Snively he like sent out a message and said like, oh man, Eggman has been killed and we're crashing, Sonic beat us, you're all free to go. And so it cuts to all of the egg bosses and their reaction to being told that they're free. And like some of them are like, oh my gosh, like we're finally free. Or like some of them are like, oh man, I was waiting in the shadows to take power, but now I can do this. And then others are just like, whatever, who cares? And then, stuff like that. And each one of them is like mid whatever they want to do. And they get teleported into the room. They're like, what the fuck just happened? And it's like, he's alive. And they're all really embarrassed.
Oh no. What if one of them's like taking a leak or something?
Yeah, well, too bad. As Eggman says in that story, if I tell you to jump, you say how high on the way up.
That's fun. That's a good line. And if I'm not mistaken, is that not, I know there's an Eggman arc in Sonic Universe in Preboot that I never read. Isn't the Egg Beater in that one too?
Yes, but what's even better about it is that because he knows the Iron Queen exists and that she's a threat that could come back to bite him, he actually redesigns the Egg Beater to be completely controlled by like hypertension cords and ceramics. And so he's in mirrors and stuff. So like he fights the Iron Queen and she's like, I'm going to control your stupid robot, idiot. And he's like, actually, I'm a genius and I made the Egg Beater out of all of these things, motherfucker. And she's like, oh. And then he just starts beating the shit out of them.
That's amazing.
Can't wait till we get to Preboot. Look how much energy and like detail I had for that, and then for all this, I'm just like, whoa!
Damn it! Yeah, no, only a few episodes left, audience. Then it's pre-boot time.
And it's just gonna be me actually giving analysis for these videos.
Yeah, have we told the audience when we're starting with pre-boot? Not like when, obviously after we finish this, but like when, like what issue we're starting with.
I think you and I had said that like for the early days, we're just gonna do like best of, like we're just gonna go to like the big issues. And then,
I thought what we were gonna do is we would start from a point and go forward, but like every few episodes we would go back and do like a big story.
Yeah, I think that's a better idea. So yeah, we'll start from post space, and then we'll just pick like big issues and to go back for like for a little extra content.
So home is what that arc is called, correct?
Yeah, it's issue 130, home. And then what we might do is like we'll do that issue, and then the rest of the homecoming arc maybe, and then also read issue 25. You know, so we'll do like an arc and then also like an old issue. So that way we can spice it up every week.
That'll be every week. I was thinking
every video.
I was thinking every few episodes we would be like, and now we're talking about Endgame or something.
Well, it'll depend how big they are. Endgame will probably need to be its own video.
Oh, Endgame will absolutely need to be its own.
Because it's
same
garbage.
with Wait, what?
Oh, you didn't know? Oh, I forgot. I forgot. You're one of those sad children who's like, yeah, in that story, cool stuff happened. I remember as a child, but you never went back. You never knew.
First of all,
you never went back.
I was 14 when I read it. I wasn't exactly
a child. You're younger than Amy Rose.
I mean, that's I will say I did reread Endgame somewhat recently, like a couple years ago, and it's not amazing. I admittedly, but regardless, yeah, that will need to be its own video. Sonic Adventure 2.5.
Main characters are my favorite Sonic characters: Hershey the cat, Drago Wolf, Jeffrey St. John.
They're not the main characters.
Can you tell me one thing that the actual main characters do? No, you can't.
Sonic has a big epic final battle with Robotnik. What do you mean? What do they actually?
No, I can list them for you. Sally, dead. Tails gets captured. Rotor gets captured. Knuckles fights Sonic because Jeffrey says so. Antoine gets captured and then is tasked with putting a bomb in a weapon to save the day and fails. Bunny does the same thing. Sonic fights Eggman knowing that it will do nothing, and then Snively saves the day. So I've listed all the things our main characters do to save the day.
Okay. Save it for the Endgame episode.
I gotcha. I got you with facts and logic.
Anyway, that'll probably be our first of those kinds of things. Anyway, fuck it. We need to finish this episode before.
I mean, they beat him. What's more to say? And then
there's plenty more to say. We're only halfway through the issue.
All right, fine. What's the conflict?
So he blasts Metal Sonic. Naugus, Wally gets away because I'm used to just calling him Naugus, but they're both Naugus. The Walter gets away. And then the other one is like, hey, wait, what if I like worked for you? It'd be totally epic. You don't have to murder me.
And he's like, Prober. I mean, he does literally.
He's like that. He says that. I mean, he doesn't say that exactly, but basically, that's, yep. Prep the injector is exact words. And then we get to see my probably favorite part of this is we get to see all the egg bosses go back home, and it's cool.
Yeah, I think this whole arc in general, the best part are the egg bosses, and I am really sad that like this is it. Like, you know, Battle Cuckoo gets to do stuff in the finale, but like he's a Sonic game character, so like we'll see him going forward too, probably eventually. It does, yeah. I really enjoyed a lot of their time and a lot of their personalities, and I really would have liked to see where they all would have gone. It's just, it's genuinely sad that like this is it for most of them.
But like Mr. Snaky Man is like, yep, I'm tired. Don't talk to me. And Not Nicole is like, I got shit to do. And the Vulture is like, apparently the Vulture is like a triple agent because she's like, we were able to destroy some of. Did we know that? I thought we knew she was like a double agent because she was working for Eggman, and then the Secret Freedom Fighters, or not Secret Freedom Fighters, I'm thinking of a different thing. The Freedom Fighters of whatever this place is, Shamar, were working with her. So I thought the implication was just that the freedom fighters of Shamar were working with Eggman, not that there was a whole quadruple cross going on.
Oh, okay.
But apparently she's because she's like, we were able to destroy some of Eggman's infrastructure, so that's pretty epic. I guess that also explains why she was upset about the Flickies being killed by the what's his face.
Yeah, she's not a bad guy.
Yeah, and then Clove is like, yep, my sister sure does still have cancer.
Yeah.
And then
I will say, by the way, since we just to add to, because it's about that character, I think that Eggman's cruelty and evilness is a lot more fun here. Like, because like we had talked about, like in that story, like it feels a bit too much.
Yes,
but I think that he is very good. Like, he's very over the top. A lot of these characters are just kind of insane weirdos, and so like I think it works.
Yeah, I like the part I skipped over it where he goes like, hey, because at this point the witch carters have been unmind controlled, and he's like, hey, get them back under control when Wendy agrees to work with them, because he's still an awful person.
Yes.
So then we see. So this should tell you how much I remember from last episode about all the boring shit. Apparently, whatever her name is, the chinchilla had pieces of the Master Emerald that were retrieved. I didn't remember that.
I think that's because do we have the B story yet where like Knuckles, Amy, and Mighty?
Yep, that's what it was. I remember it now. Just looking at this at first, I was like, oh shit, like, am I forgetting something about Shattered? Because the last time I read Shattered was like 6 years ago. Like, yeah. I was like, am I forgetting something about them fighting her too in that story? And it's like, oh no, that's in the main book.
Yeah.
And then the old walrus and the old orca are like, yep, we are definitely gonna murder each other. And yep. And then there's a lot of it's set up for stuff that's gonna happen in the main book, because this is all kind of culminating to the big payoff in Panic in the Sky. And then we see what's his name? The guy you liked, the yellow dude with the jaw.
I actually don't know what his name is. I can't remember because again, he's not in it too much. I think his name's like Talon.
Regardless, the point is he's like
Let's see if I'm right. Break. Talon, Archie, Sonic. Nope, I'm stupid, so it's not that. Go on, continue.
What? So we see he's got the guy from earlier in the book that Eggman was like, I locked his joints.
He's gonna experiment on him.
Yeah, with a new roboticizer.
Yeah, that's
interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, go into that. Go ahead.
Well, because we haven't seen roboticization in this as it's typically known. We've seen people like Bunny who needed to have like robot parts put on, like because she was fucking dying. But we haven't seen push a button, a laser comes out of a thing, and you're a robot, which is how it was in Pre-Boot. So it's interesting that that's being brought up here. I assume that would have led to something, but it won't now.
Yeah, and I do think since we're getting to the end of the comic, are you starting to like really feel kind of like that idea of like, man, we're really just like losing so much? Because as much as like we've complained about some of these stories not being that good, I really respect the long-term idea that Flynn was going for with everything. Like, as much as I did not enjoy all of the expositing, what I understand about all of Reboot is that Flynn realized that what people liked about Pre-Boot was that it was this grand world with all these different characters and locations we could go to. And so in like however many issues he had, he really tried to make every single issue not only tell a story but set up something about the world. And so that's why you have Eggman giving all this exposition and trying to clarify certain things and blah, blah, blah. Because once the world is fixed, he wants to then be able to go, okay, now we can go anywhere. And everything is set up, Yeah. And I really appreciate that about the story. And I appreciate all these egg bosses and how much information we get on them and stuff. I wish a lot of that information could have been told at least through some individuals. Like a lot of it's just them kind of talking, So like whenever they say like, oh, please, I was this guy who did this, this, and this, and then Eggman gave me this. they're just talking, while like walking around. And so it would have been nice if we had like actually like some visualization for that. And that's what I think kind of weakens this arc. But I can, as much as I'll criticize a lot in Reboot, the ambition was definitely there. And I really am sad that think how, can imagine a world where like this is still going. I mean, obviously in my world, Preboot's still going, but whatever. Imagine a world where we have Reboot and, we got rid of all those pesky lawsuit stuff. And now he can just tell a story with this world. And even if this section of the story had some growing pains, like this, whole build up to the end of saving the world, I think all of that could have been worth it and enhanced in hindsight if it had been able to go somewhere. So that's just kind of something I want to bring up for this arc.
Well, it's interesting because like, and I'll talk about this more probably in the future, but like at this point, I had started reading the book again. So like I read Shattered, I read Panic in the Sky. I was reading Genesis of a Hero. I hadn't read the Pirate Princess one, so thankfully our last Reboot episode will be another one I haven't read before. But like I was on the book. I had finally gotten back into it after being like, man, fuck Archie Sonic. Then it's not my book anymore. And then immediately after I jumped back on, it gets fucking canceled.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I guess to like answer your question, it sucks. Yeah, I'm feeling it. It's gonna be sad to see it go. I think I agree with something you said to me last year when we first started this show, which was that Reboot is a consistent 7 that gets a lot of 8s. I would say that's a pretty accurate definition for description of it. And yeah.
You mean Reboot?
Yes, Reboot.
I was gonna say, are you slandering? Are you putting words in my mouth that would say any such a thing about Preboot Sonic?
No, not Reboot. Reboot. I said Reboot. Why are we talking about us starting this podcast, which is about Reboot, if I was talking about Preboot?
I don't know, because you said Preboot.
I did not say Preboot. I said Reboot.
Audience watching this, if he said Preboot, say Ian is right, as always, in the comments.
Hey, guess who has power over what the audience does and doesn't hear, Ian?
Me?
The motherfucker who's going to be editing this.
I win. Well, I'll have to die again and become a ghost. I'll make sure that gets uploaded properly.
I don't know why. I just imagine like you're shaking like how people do like when they make like protein shakes. They're like shaking the bottle, but it's just you with like cyanide and water
with a gun. I'm shaking the bullet to make sure it still works. It's like I'm like that one Power and Dawn Brothers where he takes a gun and shoots himself and he dies, and then his soul gets put into a tiny little robot body, and then he drives around in a car.
I don't think he shoots himself. I think he just shoots.
Yeah, but he shoots. But the joke is that he like falls like he dies.
Yeah.
Because he passes out.
Which is weird because we saw like literally in the Christmas episode this is not the Dawn Brothers podcast anyway. So I really like this last page, where it's got like Eggman walking, you got Metal Sonic doing this cool like blur effect, and you got Orbite and Cubot. I really wish
it's one of the coolest shots of Eggman and Metal Sonic.
Except there's all these fucking words in the way. So
what's he saying?
Yeah, hopefully, who gives a shit?
No, he's telling us something about the world and the world.
No, he's going like, I won, and it's pretty awesome. And this is where the line I talked about like, chalk another victory up to me. And they're like, yeah, another victory. Except that line doesn't really work with Archie Eggman because like even in this one in Reboot, like he still controls a good amount of the world. So
I was gonna say. So I mean, whatever. Who cares? I mean, you are correct.
Yeah. But and then we get what is this? Is Naugus with the Master Emerald? But it was shattered. How could that be? Dun dun dun.
Find out never, because the comic got canceled after.
No, we find out in Shattered.
Yeah, I know.
You don't lie to our audience here. We need them to come
for
back.
Anyone reading at home, I want to give like a nice little heart attack. Like, what? No, not my favorite character, Wally. What happened?
My favorite character, Wally.
The The rope.
Flash fans be like. Anyway, you get it because the joke is that anyway.
Flash
So yeah,
fan.
the off panels. I really like this off panel joke where he's talking about the armor and he's like, "What else do you have in there?" He goes, "Oh, I have an egg MacGuffin." Do you get it? Because the armor, it's like a MacGuffin because it's just a plot device that fixes the problems. And
Yeah.
it's funny.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Eggman's dozen. It's pretty. The other off panel is fun too, where it's like we have a belligerent child. Please come pick her up at the security station, and it's what the fuck is the chinchilla's name? It's something to do with electricity. Is it like Bolt? Jolt?
Yeah, I think it's like Bolt. Oh, that's the dog. It's probably Jolt.
That's a dog. You know what? I'm gonna look this up. Audience, don't go yet.
What?
I said, audience, don't go yet. I'm looking it up. Chinchilla.
I'll show you in a second.
Sonic Thunderbolt. So you weren't too far off. It was longer than I was expecting.
Yeah, you weren't too far off.
No, you were the one who said Bolt.
Oh, oops.
And then you were like, it's a dog.
So
but
cool,
yeah,
I don't even know it.
Yep. But yeah, so that's Eggman's dozen. Ian, any final thoughts on this arc?
No, I as you know, for all the side tangents we went on, I think the first two issues, like, they do their job well, and I think Eggman's pretty charming throughout most of it. And then I think the second half is where it gets really fun.
I was genuinely starting to get worried because like we had gotten through 2 issues and we were like 20 minutes in, like, you know, at least a good couple minutes of which were going to have to be edited out. And I was like, are we gonna have enough here? And of course, we're an hour and 11 minutes into the recording. So what the fuck? I should have known better. But
yeah, you should have known better than to doubt my power to go off on many tangents. So.
Yeah. But yeah, this is pretty fun. It was pretty fun. Like I said when I was talking to you before this, I'd give it like a 7.
Yeah, I'd say about a 7 too, because it ends strong.
Yeah.
So yeah,
but
what's next?
When we return, we will finally see Sonic face off against Dark Gaia in Panic in the Sky. However, until then, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, go follow Ian on various things. He does things. Ian, what do you do?
Every now and then I make videos, but the next video I'm working on is why Archie Sonic is the best Sonic, and it should be like 50 minutes. So get excited.
Is that on your channel or is that with one of your buddies?
It'll be on my channel actually. So
ooh, fun.
He'll be editing it, so it'll look awesome. But yeah,
man, I wish people would edit for me.
You just gotta do what I did and bust into their DMs and say, "Hey, talk to me," and then make them agree to something 3 years in advance, and then they'll do it. That's what I did.
Shy.
But I'm not. That's why I'm on the show.
Yeah, that's why our dynamic works. But anyway, yeah, you can follow him on Twitter at Ian Waffles. You can follow me on Twitter at the Silver Ace 01 if Twitter is still a thing. I don't know. And yeah, come back next time for Panic in the Sky. But until then, take care, everyone.
Bye.